Now I know everyone's super excited by the fact that apparently Guitar Hero is coming back, but let's not bury the lead. We're also back. Let's go. What is going on, everyone? We are the Cinefanatics. This is the Tagline. Welcome to the Tagline, the show where the tagline is the title. My name is Robert Adams.
I'm Chris Adams. I'm also I didn't know Guitar Hero was back.
Oh, have you not seen that all over Twitter today?
Or yeah, I don't care about Guitar Hero, so.
Yeah, apparently there's like this big push for Activision to bring back Guitar Hero, which means inevitably Rock Band or whatever is also going to come back, probably.
Activision still exists
in some form, maybe, possibly.
I thought they were one of those companies that died during the pandemic. Starting off on a very dark note today.
Well, first thing right off the bat is good news. I am alive.
He's COVID free.
I survived COVID. Yeah, after going like 3 years now, 3.5 years. I don't know. Finally caught it at Fantastic Fest, but yeah, managed to make it through roughly about a week of just feeling awful, but I am back. Everything seems good.
I think even more impressive, besides you surviving COVID, is we made it through the entire time of you having COVID without me catching it.
Yeah. So first of all, I do want to say thank you to everyone who sent out well wishes and everything. Hope you feel better. Thank you for those. Thank you for those messages. I saw them all and I very much appreciate all those. I do also want to say shout out, like MVP easily goes to my brother. Anything I needed from the grocery store, he had to go get. Anything I needed done, he had to take care of. What was it, like our AC started rattling and making noise and you had to be the one to sit here and wait for the maintenance person to show up or whatever. So yes, big shout out to my brother who did a phenomenal job of taking care of his older brother.
The trade-off is that you had to wear a mask every time you left your room, which, by the way, masks work. We live in the same apartment. He wore a mask every single time he left his room. I am COVID free. Masks work.
Yeah, absolutely. We had this thing when COVID first started, living in the same apartment. We came to the rationale that if one of us was to get it, it's going to be very hard for the other person to avoid getting it. And especially like in my case, is right outside my bedroom door on the ceiling is the air conditioning intake vent. So anything floating through the air gets sucked up through that vent, hopefully goes through that filter once it's changed every 50 billion years, and then gets pumped out through the rest of the apartment. And I'm just knowing that vent is there. I was like, oh, my brother is going to be screwed because there's no way to really avoid that. It's going to happen. I'm going to cough and sneeze here in my room, and those particles will float through the air and will make their way. Nope, everything perfectly fine. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was mostly like just a really bad headache that just would not go away, some body aches, sore throat, cough, the like off and on chills and like cold sweats, which that sucks. Like headaches are bad, but I can tolerate a headache to a certain extent. It's waking up in the middle of the night and all of your sheets are soaking wet because you are sweating while you're sleeping, even though it's like 60 something degrees in your apartment. Yeah. You're just, that is just not fun. But made it through, good and healthy. Let's get the YouTube things out of the way. Y'all have any questions, comments, issues, or if you want to help us out, because I didn't get any sick time. So the entire week that I was off for COVID, I wasn't making any money. So bills are going to still need to be paid because they don't accept COVID as an excuse. So streamlabs.com/cinefanatics, please don't make us beg.
I'm also still trying to find a job, so
yeah,
please Streamlabs tonight, guys. Please, thank you.
This is going to be a very rough month for your humble movie lovers over here. So anything y'all can do to help us out would be very much appreciated.
To the degree that if we don't make rent this month, Cinefanatics doesn't operate in November.
We'll be coming to you live from a cardboard box, and we're only live if you happen to be standing right in front of where we're at on the sidewalk. Anyways, and then there's also Patreon, patreon.com/cinefanatics. Again, if you feel like we are worthy of your support and you have the means to do it, please don't put yourself out. We don't need everyone being homeless here. But if you feel like you have the means to support us, please hop on the tier. There's a $1 tier, $5 tier. The $5 tier gets you all the cool rewards like the movie trivia hangouts and the movie watch along. $1 gives you Discord access so you can see what goofy things we may be talking about on Discord. As for the Patreon hangouts this month, we've got coming up, now that we're like halfway through this month already. Jeez. Now that we're halfway through the month, kind of narrows down which Wednesdays we've got to do things.
Next Wednesday and the Wednesday after.
Yeah. So next Wednesday, the 18th, will be the movie watch along, which this is going to be a fun movie watch along because it's October. Those of you who have been following us for any amount of time know that October is one of my favorite months for movie watch-alongs because it's the month that we get to make my brother watch a horror movie, and he doesn't like horror movies, so we're going to force him to watch one. Oh, are you trying to whistle the Psycho theme?
I am.
It's recognizable. It's good. I think in months past we've done like The Shining, although I think we did The Shining outside of October, but I know we got you to watch The Shining. Last year, I think we did Halloween. So this year we will be doing the classic, not the Gus Van Sant shot-for-shot remake, but the classic Alfred Hitchcock Psycho, which he's never seen. Which is, I mean, it's a good classic horror movie, but man, this is not a horror movie in the way that we think of horror movies nowadays.
No, I'm actually excited about this one because I do want to see Psycho.
This is a good classic cinema. The only downside to this is, unfortunately, you already know the twist ending to it as well. As well as any other person who's living and breathing and pooping on this planet.
Do I? I mean, I probably do, but
yes,
I can't think of it right off the top of my head right now what it might be. So,
well, okay then. Anyways, so that will be next Wednesday, the 18th, after the tagline. So roughly like 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. I believe it is streaming on Peacock. So we will try streaming from there. So come join us in the Discord if you're on the $5 tier. The Wednesday after that, the 25th, will be movie trivia. Same time frame, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern after tagline. I'm not sure if we'll make this horror movie trivia. Maybe. Because that's always fun, but we'll see.
We'll see if our quizmaster Vernon is the one writing questions this time or not.
Yeah. So that is what we have coming up for Patreon. Upcoming, well, we don't really have any, I would say, upcoming shows. Although I do want to make one announcement on here. So after I got back from Fantastic Fest, I know the Friday after, the very next day after Fantastic Fest ended, we did the marquee, and we were the tier ranking the musicals right before I became like patient zero. And so on there, we were talking about how we're going to do 2 marquees this month. Again, horror movies. October is a fun time to be ranking horror movies, anything. We were saying that this Friday the 13th would be one, and then also Friday the 27th was going to be another one. I'm going to have to cancel this Friday the 13th, which sucks because that is like the most perfect day to be ranking horror movies on.
Yeah, you're thinking about this just right now. You're now connecting the dots.
That is like the day of all day, the holiest of all horror holies, to be ranking or talking about horror movies or watching horror movies or whatever, and I'm canceling the marquee on that day. Not only did I mess up by scheduling the Friday the 13th ranking back in January on a Friday the 13th, which I thought was a great idea.
So now actually think about this from a different way. You scheduled the Friday the 13th ranking during the one Friday the 13th. You were actually able to do a marquee this month.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that would make sense. So
positive spin.
Good job, sir. Again, MVP over here. MVP. Anyway, so we won't be able to do it on this coming Friday. So no marquee this Friday. We'll do the marquee on the 27th, and I'm thinking we'll keep it as tier ranking horror movie villains. So again, whatever villains you would like to see tier ranked on there, let me know. Send us like any kind of notification, whether it's a comment down below on this video, tag us on Twitter, DM us if you can. However you can get that information. Tell my brother when he's Twitch streaming what horror movie characters.
Yeah, because I'm definitely going to remember that. Keep this in mind. Also, the final girl tier ranking will just be reserved in the bank of ideas that we will bring up probably next year.
And that is definitely one I would like to do. As far as like the usual people that I talk to in regards to joining me for marquee horror movies, since it's usually not my brother. At least the two people I talked to were both very, very eager for Final Girls. I like the idea of doing a Final Girls and a Scream Queens. So I would like to tackle both of those.
What's the difference between a Scream Queen and a Final Girl?
The Final Girls have to survive another year. Well, so in what I would call a definition, the only reason I would separate them is particularly for one specific movie, and that would be Nightmare on Elm Street 2. That ends with like a final guy, but he is the epitome of a Scream Queen.
Scream Queen is the actor, Final Girl is the character.
Yes.
Thank you, Lego, for the quick and easy answer to my question.
I'm not feeling so well.
Anyways, you don't have that excuse anymore.
Anyways, yes, Lego had that correct. So yeah, and it's mainly because I'm thinking of the character of Jesse from Nightmare Elm Street 2. That he is a Scream Queen, but he's not a Final Girl. So
he's got that brain fog, long COVID. Funny enough, he had that before he got COVID.
Oh wait, wrong ear.
I'm sorry. Is that ear itchy?
Yeah, my ear's itchy.
Wow, it's weird. Both ears are itchy. Is that a COVID? Long COVID?
Anyways, so yeah, on the 27th, we're looking at marquee on the 27th. Will be tier ranking horror movie villains. As for other upcoming projects, well, I actually just dropped a project today that I was eager to get to this as soon as we got out, or as soon as I got out of Fantastic Fest. Just that weekend, that Saturday and Sunday, I was wanting to just quickly crank this out, and I couldn't because I got sick and I needed to lay in bed for a week.
And doing content from your bed is, unless it's a very specific kind of content, usually doesn't sell well on the internet.
Yeah. So that was no bueno. So I finally I started feeling better probably like Saturday night, this past Saturday night, Sunday. And so Sunday, I immediately jumped on and took advantage of, I feel well enough to be on camera. So I quickly filmed my ranking of all 20 Fantastic Fest movies that I have seen. Got that edited, and that is currently live on this channel right now. So you can go check that out after this program. I will be talking about some of those movies here in just a minute. Because we've got to cover what movies have you watched this past week or two or three, and it's going to be a bit
past month.
I'm not actually going to talk about all 20 of those movies, but we'll talk about more about Fantastic Fest here in a little bit. But if you want to know what movies I did see and what my thoughts, feelings, opinions are of them, that is a good place for it. Because of getting COVID, I've had to also pass on being able to do full reviews for like Pet Sematary Bloodline and Totally Killer, both of which are now available for watching on streaming services. I think Pet Sematary's Paramount, Totally Killer is Amazon Prime.
Wow, that was quick. They didn't last long in the theater at all.
Yeah, they did. Well, other than Fantastic Fest, they didn't play in a theater.
Oh,
I think
no.
some of them may have played at Beyond Fest in LA, but
For Pet Cemetery, that makes sense.
yes, it does. If you watch my ranking, guess what number 20 is? Yeah. So yeah, for some of those movies, that's just going to be my review, is what I said about those movies in that ranking video. I do have chapter markers, so it's almost an hour-long video, but if you want to know my specific thoughts on a few movies in there, go check out that video. I talk about like some more about Toxic Avenger and stuff like that. So go watch that video. Let me know your thoughts, especially my top two in there. Oh, I'm going to be talking about them easily for the next year as we get more and more information on when they get a wide release, because those two movies are phenomenal in my opinion.
And do us a favor, if you're hanging out at home and doing some work at home or doing whatever in your free time and you don't feel like really watching any other YouTube content, go ahead and throw that video on loop and just let it play multiple times while you're doing anything else. It's good for our analytics. And by golly, we need all the help we can get right now.
We are closing in on 2,000 subscribers. So last I saw, we're like 1944. So not bad. Now that I'm feeling better, I'm hoping to get some more content out, start doing some more shorts. So hopefully that number should be pumping up here pretty soon. Anyways, that is it for, I think, like all the beginning stuff. Chris, what movies have you watched over the past week?
There's actually two of them that I decided to check out because they both are available on Disney Plus now, and then I wanted to watch both of them. Just didn't get to see either one of them in the theater. It's Elemental and Haunted Mansion. These are big movies that came out earlier this year. Haunted Mansion came out like a month or two ago, which is a lot. It's just weird because it definitely should have come out this month, but apparently they wanted to get it, I guess, ready for the home release Disney Plus audience in October instead, which I guess kind of makes sense.
Yeah, because if it came out in the theaters in October, then the home audience would be ready to watch a Haunted Mansion movie during Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least Thanksgiving. So checked out both of these. Elemental, absolutely delightful. Elemental was very cute. Highly recommend. It's absolutely Pixar continuing to do Pixar things. I don't know why the movie didn't make the monies that it should have made.
Names attached to it.
I mean, granted, yeah, there really wasn't. There was like, they really didn't have like huge names attached to it. But it did. I think it caught some legs. It grew some legs later on in its box office life, but it should have had them from the beginning. It was a very lovely movie. Animation's beautiful. Absolutely should check it out if you get the chance.
I think another thing that hurt it was like the trailers really didn't give us like any kind of a story, and it like what. Yeah. And I think I saw a lot of people talking about that when it first came out, that there actually isn't really a story. It's just a day in the life of like these two elementals.
No, there is a story. There is a story to it. No, I'm actually kind of shocked that they didn't include any of it in the trailers, because they really could have. They really could have included some of the story in the trailers. Wouldn't have ruined the movie at all. Because there's no reason for the storyline to have been kept from trailers. It really wouldn't have ruined it at all, and actually would have like added some extra stuff. I think that what they were trying to do is they were trying to sell the two characters. And I understand, after watching the movie, I understand why they were doing that, because they are the central focus of the movie. But there was an actual like other storyline happening too that they really could have included a piece in the trailers. And I don't know if it really would have sold the movie anymore, but it was there. So, and then Haunted Mansion, which, here's the thing about Haunted Mansion. That movie made less money than Elemental. It made a lot less money than Elemental. That movie pretty much flopped in the box office, which I think is kind of unfortunate. Because while yes, there was a lot of moments in that movie that were kind of all over the place and a little bit of a mess. I'm looking at Danny DeVito's character, kind of just, his character was kind of like all over the place at times, especially with like the storyline surrounding him. The movie itself is actually pretty well structured, and the characters are actually pretty interesting, especially Lakeith Stanfield, who is obviously the standout in the movie and should be because he's pretty much the main character. He's bringing his A game in his performance in this movie, which is kind of interesting when you think about it being a haunted mansion movie and you're not expecting like a whole lot of like really deep kind of introspective acting, but there's a lot that goes on with his character in the movie that actually was pretty good. So I think you watch it for Lakeith Stanfield, and then there was someone else that was stood out. Oh yeah, Tiffany Haddish. Yes, Tiffany Haddish stood out too. I think she did a fantastic job as her character as well. I did not feel like I was watching Tiffany Haddish, and you would think at sometimes that she's got that kind of personality where she's pretty much just playing herself on screen. No, she was actually very much playing a character who was very unlike herself. So I thought that was actually a very good performance as well. And on top of it, Ahsoka did a good job in the movie too.
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I like that leading up to the musical marquee that we did, you had to watch Rent for the first time, and seeing Rosario Dawson in Rent as a completely different character than what she plays in Ahsoka. Like, that was like how jarring that was.
It's not, because Ahsoka looks like Ahsoka.
Yeah, I guess, but
Not
it's just
Rosario
knowing
Dawson.
it's the same actress is just, she's very reserved and like very respectful in Ahsoka.
Rosario Dawson's a good actress.
And in Rent, she just wants to go ow tonight. So
she's very good at being able to have a wider range, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I actually recommend both movies. Haunted Mansion, I get if people aren't gelling with, because it does. There are times where it feels a little bit longer than it maybe should be, and there are moments where it's kind of haphazard and all over the place. But I think overall the storyline is actually pretty good, and I actually really enjoyed it, and will definitely be watching it again.
These movies that Disney's done, and like this is the second attempt at Haunted Mansion, because they did that Eddie Murphy one back in like the mid 2000s or so,
2003 or something like that.
Yeah, they were trying to capitalize off of making movies based off of their rides, because Pirates of the Caribbean was super successful.
Country Bears?
Yeah, they did the Country Bears Jamboree or something like that.
I cannot wait for a Hall of Presidents movie.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be so good.
Especially with like recent presidents that we've had. That's gonna be a lot of fun. All these respectable, never mind.
Well, you know what? Donald Trump starred in Home Alone 2. He could show up in the Hall of Presidents movie as himself.
That's all he's doing, is showing all the other presidents how to get to the Hall of Presidents. He's doing the same exact thing he did in Home Alone 2. All you gotta do is go down this hallway. It's a fabulous hallway. It's not my hotel. Why am I here? I don't know. But that's not a bad Donald Trump impression, if I do say so myself.
Anyway, that was like an entire joke by itself of the Hall of Presidents being a movie. Yes, they were trying to do movies based off of their rides and everything. And honestly, I think I haven't seen the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion, but from what I hear, this more recent one's probably a lot better.
That's what it sounds like.
I do like the nods and stuff, because I've seen the ride. I don't think I ever went on the ride. I didn't go on the ride when I was 4, and I know we didn't get a chance to go on the ride last time we were at Disney.
I went on it. I went on it when we went to Disney World when you were 4. I went on the Haunted Mansion.
So I have seen the ride from like other videos and images of it, and there are plenty of really good nods in the movie to things that happen on the ride. Characters and stuff that appear, like you're watching the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and you got those guys in the jail trying to get that dog's attention, and the dog's got the keys. It's very much that sort of thing, that sort of situation.
Yeah.
Some of it reserved for the end, like during the credits. Some of it actually happens during the movie. So I was very impressed by the way they kind of handled some of that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now on to the 20 movies that I've seen over the past couple of weeks. No. I do want to talk about Fantastic Fest briefly. I know I do talk a lot about it in the video that I just dropped. So if you want to get some like really good full thoughts on there, I will say, like, live on camera, one of the things I really didn't get to say in my video is a huge shout out to a friend of the channel, Sean Chandler, and also his buddy, Cody Leach, who also runs a very successful horror movie YouTube channel. Got to meet Cody Leach at Fantastic Fest, got to pal around with Sean Chandler. Got a nice like little group of friends that I made there. And like shout out to those two specifically because they knew how to handle Fantastic Fest, and it was a lot of fun. So just following their guidance and everything made that very enjoyable. I would say overall, if anyone has the ability, like if you want to go to a film festival, come to Austin for Fantastic Fest. It was so much fun. The entire festival is in one building, kind of like you and I have gone to South by in 2019, and we were bouncing around from like venue to venue. Like a lot of the major movie premieres were all going to be at the Paramount, or I think there was like maybe one or two that was like right next door, the stateside theater. Otherwise, like a lot of the events and stuff, we were bouncing from like the Paramount to the Austin Convention Center and then back to the Paramount. And like we're having to make treks across downtown on scooters or walking or whatever. This is one whole festival that's at one theater. You just stay in one place unless you choose to go somewhere else of your own volition. But yeah, that made it a lot of fun. And then I know, what was it like at the end of August? You had something you had to go do, so we had Sean Chandler come and join for the tagline, and me and him were talking about the Fantastic Fest that he went to previously, and he was saying how it's really weird that you bump into like celebrities and stuff. Like he was saying that he bumped into Chris Jericho. And I think he said like Thomas Jayne and stuff. Like these people are just randomly hanging out. And that was something that I did notice. It was a lot of fun. So I do have like one of the first big ones. Of course, I've put a lot of these on social media already, but like getting to bump into Elijah Wood. A lot of fun to talk to him, especially when you're like, hey, I really liked you as a kid in Back to the Future too, instead of probably saying like Lord of the Rings like a lot of people would do. Some of my favorites that I got to bump into right on the first day is C. Robert Cargill, who is the writer for like a lot of Scott Derrickson movies. So he was the writer of Sinister, of Doctor Strange, and The Black Phone. Fun to talk to him. And one quick, really interesting thing about him is it was great being around him. I saw him pretty much every single day of the festival. And it was great being around him as the writer's strike is being resolved. Yeah. So like the very next day I got to walk to him and was like, hey, let me pick your brain real quick. What do you think of this whole like writer's strike being resolved? And you could just see the joy in his eyes as he's talking. He was so happy that he gets to get back to work. And it was interesting because I was asking like, well, can you, and I think me and my brother were talking about this before, can you actually, as a writer, can you just write stuff for fun during a strike? You just can't turn it in or you can't make any money off of it. And he was saying, well, it depends on what it is. Like he was in the process of writing something that he had already been paid for by the studio, and he had to put a hold on that. He wasn't allowed to even work on it in the privacy of his own home until the strike was over, because it was already struck work. He was already being paid for it. But if it was something like he just wanted to come up with his own story, yes, he could do that if he would like, and then turn in the script after the strike is over.
So, which, if you think about that, makes the most sense. You come up during how long that strike lasted, you come up with, 3 or 4 different scripts or something during that time. Yeah. And then you immediately start turning those in as soon as the strike is over, and bada bing, bada boom, you might be able to pick up some work immediately.
Yeah, so you start getting paid now type of thing.
Get your money now.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know the specifics of exactly what the Writers Guild got out of the negotiations. He did say that apparently they got like actually more than what they were initially asking for. So basically the studios were giving into what they wanted and gave them a little bit more, I guess, to help kind of like curb this from happening for a lot longer.
Yeah, so we'll talk about more of that here in a second.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so interesting being able to pick his brain and talk to him. Like, and again, he was someone that I saw pretty much the entire time. So, and he was very, every single one of these celebrities I got to meet were very approachable. You could just walk up, say hey to them, talk to them, because they're all sitting there like in between movies wanting to talk to people, and just like I was doing. We're just hanging out in between movies. So a lot of fun, very approachable. Of course, you also have his buddy, Scott Derrickson, who is there, the director of Sinister, Doctor Strange, and The Black Phone. Fun thing with him is I started noticing, especially because of Doctor Strange and The Black Phone both made use of Pink Floyd songs, like heavily used Pink Floyd songs. I was asking if he had like an affinity specifically for Pink Floyd, and he's like, yeah, I would like to try to incorporate that as much as possible. Of course, there is a connection already between Pink Floyd and Doctor Strange because of a Pink Floyd album cover had Doctor Strange way back in the day, so there's the connection there. Funny thing with that, though, was we went and saw the first 2 episodes of The Fall of the House of Usher that's going to be on Netflix. And the very opening scene of the first episode is a brick wall, and it's playing Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall as it's like panning out. And I know like Derrickson was there in that viewing with us as well. After it was over, I was talking to him. I was like, okay, so did you go talk to Mike Flanagan and give him pointers on what music to use? He started laughing at that. So right after we had just talked about Pink Floyd, we're watching another Pink Floyd song in a movie or TV show in this case. I do recommend go check out that Fall of the House of Usher if you're interested. If you like Mike Flanagan, watch the first 2 episodes. They're very interesting. The second episode ends on a massive cliffhanger that I'm really wanting to know what happens after that. So anyways, moving on. I'm going to try to make this a little bit faster here, but just want to point out some of the fun, interesting people I got to interact with. They did the first showing of the new Toxic Avenger, which surprisingly they had Lloyd Kaufman, the founder of Troma, in attendance. So as soon as I saw him, of course, I'm the type of person I gotta just book it over there. So I quickly ran over to go see him. Like, hey, can I get a picture? Type of thing. And that's funny. Like a lot of people are very like hesitant to approach celebrities, and I had like absolutely no problem at all. I saw him and I just like ran across the theater to go talk to him. Who else? This is Francis Galuppi. He directed the movie Last Stop in Yuma County, which spoilers, that was my favorite movie of the entire Fantastic Fest. I got a picture with him because this guy's going to be famous. This guy is going to be of like Tarantino levels. So I was like, let me get a picture with you now because I can't wait to see your path. I can't wait to watch how this is going. We're going to watch your career with great interest. So cool guy. Very, very fun to talk to. But yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, seeing Lloyd Kaufman was insane. So yeah, of course, we also have some people may recognize this person, Clark Wolf. Anyone who's been following us knows us from we used to do reactions to the movie Trivia Schmodown, and she was one of the competitors on there. She was also, so there was the one official match that I was in. She was on the desk calling it, and I never got a chance to talk to her afterwards. So I finally got a chance to meet up with her at Fantastic Fest, talk to her, showed her like some old video clips. Like there was a video that Chris filmed like while I was sitting on the desk, like behind the scenes and stuff. And she's like, oh, that's so cool. Like I miss seeing the studio and stuff. So she was really happy to see that. She had a short film. She directed a short film called A Shining Example. And it was really good. It was probably my favorite short of all the shorts I saw at the festival. It's basically taking the idea of like kind of like The Shining, where you have the father as a writer. He's trying to concentrate on his writing and he just starts going crazy, attacks his family. And the idea is what would happen if it was the mom that happened to. So she's like a screenwriter coming back to a TV show after like a hiatus. She's trying to work on the script. She's got her kid wants to spend time with her playing with a Ouija board. You've got her husband is trying to get into like EDM music or something. He's trying to get into some kind of music and he's not necessarily the best at it, but he has high hopes. So he like all of this stuff is going on and she's just trying to get some work done. And her family just won't leave her the hell alone. And it was interesting. It was a good short. So I would love to see a more fleshed out feature film based off of that. Yeah, pun not intended, but yeah. And then a couple other ones real quick. Of course, getting to see the legendary Leonard Maltin.
Hey.
Oh man, it was so much fun getting to talk to him briefly. So such a legend, of course. Obviously one of the most famous movie critics ever. And of course, we're running a YouTube channel where we'll do reviews and stuff. So he's definitely an inspiration. It was great getting to meet him. And then the other one that this one I just thought was fun. So I was talking about like the groups of people that are talking in between movies. We're kind of like getting to know each other, recommendations. What movie did you just see? What did you come out of? Did you like it? Do you recommend it? Yada, yada, yada. And one of the guys that's a part of our group, his like brother is best friends with this guy who happens to come walking over. And so they're sitting there talking and it took me a second. And I was like, you're the guy who played the Predator in Prey. And he was like, yep, guilty. Getting to see him, his name is Dane DeLiegro. Getting to meet him and talk to him and pick his brain, because that is someone who does those kinds of roles. He's generally like in makeup and costumes. You never get to see his face. The only reason I recognized him is because he popped up on the dead meat kill count video for Prey. So I got to see him maskless on that. So when I saw him in person, I instantly recognized him. Got to talk to him about it and was like, it'd been nice if they could put you like in something where your face isn't covered. Like the original Predator, was it Kevin Peter Hall had a cameo at the end of the movie as a helicopter pilot. So you got to see his face without the mask on.
Well, so, interestingly enough, this guy does not seem to be one ugly mother effer. So,
No. So also for funsies, I am like exactly 6 feet tall. He is 6'8". It is fun when you're 6 feet tall and to talk to another human being, you still have to like, so
how's the weather up there?
I'm not saying that one. I'm not her dad. But yeah, it was fun talking to him. He's a very enthusiastic person. He just loves making movies and stuff. And like he was talking about like projects he's been a part of, projects he's going to be in. He's going to be in Star Wars the Skeleton Crew TV show. So I'm guessing if you are later on, whenever that show comes out, I don't think it comes out till later next year, something like that. When that show comes out, if you see like some maybe tall alien who doesn't have a human face, that's probably going to be him. So that was it for like all like the celebrities. I wish I got to meet Malcolm McDowell, who was there. He was actually getting like an award from Leonard and Jesse Maltin. So I know he was there. Some people were saying that he had just left, and I was like, no, I love Clockwork Orange. I would have loved to have talked to him and say like, hey, I loved you ever since Star Trek Generations when I was a kid.
Exactly. And then, of course, there was also Perry Nemiroff, who some of y'all might recognize from Schmodown, but most of y'all might recognize from hosting the Nuvi stuff in your local theater before you watch the movie.
She was another person that I've been wanting to meet. I've just never had the ability to interact with her. And then it went from I've never been able to interact with her to she's another person that I saw almost every day at the festival. And she became someone who was hanging out with our group because she's interacted with Sean Chandler and Cody Leach at a previous convention. So she was hanging out with us a lot. When we went to go see the first 2 episodes of the Fall of the House of Usher, I'm sitting next to Sean Chandler and Perry Nemiroff. So like it was so much fun and mind blowing to be in that position with those people. So a lot of fun. I do highly recommend. Again, if you have the opportunity, come to Austin. It was a lot of fun. It is hot, but
not anymore.
Well, not anymore. It happened to cool down like right after Fantastic Fest, but it was a lot of fun. The only other thing, though, is again, like this year, because of the actor strike, I think there was a lot less celebrities than what there typically are. Like, for example, Elijah Wood was there, even though he's an actor in The Toxic Avenger. When they did the Q&A and everything, Elijah Wood stayed sitting in the audience. He wasn't up there in front of everyone talking about the movie because he couldn't technically promote it, even though I think he may be a producer on the film. He just could not be up there promoting it as an actor. So he was there for the festival just because probably, again, he's a producer of the movie. But yeah, so maybe in the future when there's not an actor strike going on and they're allowed to promote movies, you'll see a lot more actors at the festival. But the ones who were there, I am happy I got to meet them, got to pick their brains. Just, it was so much fun. I absolutely enjoyed it. Getting COVID afterwards, not so much, but
worth it.
But oh yeah. I mean, if I had to do the whole thing over again, including the COVID at the end, I absolutely would. And I know that sounds very weird and whatnot, but yeah, it was.
Please don't do it over again.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that over. Hopefully, I'm not doing COVID again. But
I'm just glad I don't have to wipe everything down with a Clorox wipe every single time I go to the kitchen anymore.
The funniest thing, there was one guy every single day of the Fantastic Fest. He was walking around and he was wearing probably about 3 or 4 of these layered, and then he had another actual cloth mask on top of it. This dude was he was making sure he wasn't getting sick, and I was sitting there watching the whole time. I'm like, that's a bit overkill, don't you think? And then after it's over, I'm like, between me and him, guess which one of us didn't get sick?
Probably that guy.
Probably that guy. So kudos to him. Good job. Way to plan for that, because
technically, masks are meant to prevent you from spreading your germs to other people, but I guarantee that guy didn't take in anyone else's germs through 4 layers of masks. So,
no. So, yeah, that was it as far as the Fantastic Fest fun. Yeah, I would go watch the video. I talk a little bit more about some of the situations regarding Fantastic Fest. Ticketing was a little weird. I talk more about that in my ranking video, but yeah, go check that out for more videos. There's photos and stuff from the festival, so a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Chris, if it wasn't for the fact that a lot of these are horror movies, I would definitely say you need to come hang out, come join. But
I would have been there for the creator. That's about it.
Yeah, creator was good. That was kind of weird because they called it the Texas premiere, even though it actually showed officially in Texas 5 days before. So that was some weirdness that they did with that, but whatever.
Just go with it.
Yeah. Anyways, that was it for Fantastic Fest. Again, there's some movies in there I highly recommend. I will tell you the 2 movies to keep on your radar. Write them down and keep an ear out for it. Riddle of Fire and Last Stop in Yuma County. Those 2 were phenomenal. So, otherwise, yeah, I can't wait for you to see those 2 movies. You're gonna love them both. So,
right.
Anyways, so now that it's about 45 minutes into the tagline, let's get into some movie news, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is what's happening in your world tonight.
We apologize for the interruption.
Back to you.
Part of me was worried that he forgot how to do it.
I was like, wait, what are we supposed to do now? We're supposed to move on to something else. And
we're supposed to talk about box office, which we haven't talked about in, I don't remember the last time I did a box office. Was it 3-4 weeks ago, something like that? Almost a month ago, basically. So this box office looks completely different since the last time I talked about it. Most notably, of course, is the last time we talked about box office, Barbie was in the top 10. It's no longer in the top 10, which is huge.
Wow.
It's been that long. Barbie actually fell out of the top 10. It's at number 12. It's not that far out of the top 10, but it is out of the top 10.
Do we know where it was the last time we talked about it?
Oh, I don't. That requires me knowing the last time we talked about box office. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember. Again,
Lego, are you in the chat? Where was Barbie at that time? Lego will remember.
I think it was somewhere in the top 5 still, but there we go. So anybody have a guess as to what the number 1 movie in the box office is this weekend? Keep in mind, it was also a 4-day weekend. It was, for some, Columbus Day. For most now, probably Indigenous Peoples Day. So there you go. It was a 4-day weekend happening this last weekend.
I know, like the major movie that came out this past weekend was Exorcist Believer. I would be willing, especially because of the reviews for that movie, I would probably be willing to say that number 1 in the box office was probably still that Paw Patrol movie. Because I know that Paw Patrol movie was number 1 in the box office the previous weekend. The weekend that Saw and Creator came out.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are all good guesses. So number 1 in the box office is it's Exorcist Believer. Yeah, it's that Exorcist movie, which keep in mind made almost 29 million in its opening weekend. Maybe an okay start for a horror movie. Not too bad, probably. Don't know if it's going to have legs. I'm not hearing great word of mouth on it, so we may not see that in the top going into this next weekend. Number two is Paw Patrol.
Which, I mean, let's be honest. If it came down between you had to watch Paw Patrol or The Exorcist, which one are you
I'm
watching?
staying the hell home. I'm turning on a streaming service and watching something at home. I love the theatrical experience. Not going to the theater.
That's how bad. When you speak of Paw Patrol with the same kind of disdain that you would have for watching The Exorcist.
Because apparently it's a shtick at this point. Paw Patrol, the Mighty movie, second week in the box office, made another 13.6 million. So it's, it's got families. It's got family numbers. Total gross right now domestically is a little over 40 million. So I think it's doing pretty good for probably its budget and for the family viewing experience. Number 3 movie, Saw X, aka Saw Twitter, is chilling out in the box office with currently about $33.2 million second weekend. So not too bad for that movie for sure.
That joke will never get old.
No. That movie also will probably stay in the top 3, I imagine, since a lot of people are saying it's got some pretty good word of mouth in terms of how good of it is compared to other Saw movies in the franchise.
Yes, easily one of the best, if not most people's most favorite of the entire franchise. They did a really good job with that.
Which is insane to think about how the 10th movie in a franchise can pull that off. Fast and Furious, looking at you. Number 4 in the box office is The Creator. Second weekend in the box office, made 7.2 million. It's not doing numbers. Its current total gross and the domestic is about 26 million. Let's take a worldwide, because that's the type of movie that I think would have worldwide appeal.
Yeah.
And yikes.
That's unfortunate because it is like an original IP.
63.8 million worldwide.
Oof. Total
worldwide so far. Oof.
That is going to be a movie that once it's available for home viewing, you will see a lot more people watch it. You'll probably hear a lot more people talk about it on social media going, man, that Creator actually is really good. I wish I caught that in the theater. The flying ship that's in there, that T-looking ship that shoots lasers down, it's called Nomad. That ship on the big screen is amazing to see. And like that ship there's a major sequence with that ship in the movie, and on the big screen it looks so good. Yeah. So yeah, and what's great about that is that whole movie is shot on basically a Sony point and shoot camera, a camera that's maybe a couple of steps up better than the camera I'm using right now.
Interesting. Anyway, so that is number 4. Number 5 is The Blind, which is a Fathom event release. Then we got number 6, A Haunting in Venice, been out for 4 weeks. Number 7, The Nun 2, hanging in at that number 7 spot. That's the one that's made the most money of all these so far, but it's been out for 5 weeks. The Nun 2 is actually pulling in some dollars, currently at almost 81.5 million. So
and all I've heard is people are like, it's okay.
So, that one is the one that is making its budget back plus some. So, not too bad for The Nun 2. Number 8,
that Conjuring universe, they roll hard.
Number 8 is Dumb Money. That's that GameStop stock movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sent out for 4 weeks. Total gross so far almost 11 million. So that's another movie that's not making. It's not making dumb money. Yikes. Number 9, The Equalizer 3. And then number 10 is the 30th anniversary re-release of Hocus Pocus. So
Interesting.
Hitting at that 10 spot, which means Expendables is at the 11th spot, not actually in the top 10. Oppenheimer's at number 14. Some of these movies we're not going to be mentioning much anymore. So
I know the ticket. There was a ticketing issue with Fantastic Fest, and the opening night, like Cody and Sean couldn't get tickets to Toxic Avenger, so they ended up seeing it the next morning at a press screening. So instead, they went to another movie theater to go see I think it was a press screening for Expendables. Or it was the night that Expendables were coming out.
Expendables.
Yeah, so I remember them talking about. They're like, "Yeah, so we saw that fourth Expendables." Oof.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I'm glad I'm not caught up on that series."
Yeah.
So, what do we think is going to be number 1 in the box office next weekend?
I can't remember what's coming out next weekend.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, instead of
the Exorcist movie, which, I mean, at this point, I don't know which one I'd be rooting for anyways. I'm not a Tay-Tay fan, so.
Listen, I do think I do think T-Swizzle is going to take the number 1 spot this next weekend.
You think? She's already sold like over 100 million in ticket sales, so yeah, that movie's already number 1 in the box office before it even comes out. So. Anyways, that'll be next weekend.
Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods?
As far as like horror movies, I don't think there's really any other major horror movies coming out except Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's fascinating. For the month of October, there was like 3 or 4 horror movies.
Yeah.
Which I guess maybe that might be normal, but what's it? Exorcist, Saw X. Technically The Nun 2, even though that came out before October, way before October.
There's a couple of smaller ones. Like there was one that just came out, and I completely forget what it's called. I've been so busy with Fantastic Fest that it completely just flew right by me. I want to say it stars like, I think her name's like Catherine Dever. Something like that.
There's something called When Evil Lurks.
Oh no! So When Evil Lurks was a movie that premiered at Fantastic Fest. It's an Argentinian possession film. It's on Shudder currently, and it is in my ranking. So go check out my ranking to see where that movie ranks. Heads up, Chris, you don't want to watch it.
I would assume not. Yeah, I don't really see anything horror that might have come out. Cat Person. Nope. I don't know what that movie is. Anyway, it's not important. So that's your box office, everybody.
No One Will Save You. That's what it is.
Oh, that just came out.
It came out on Hulu.
Oh, that's why it's not in the box office.
Caitlin Dever.
Oh, Caitlin Dever. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was from Booksmart.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyways, that is it for box office. So, as I previously mentioned, during Fantastic Fest, the Writers Guild strike was resolved. And yeah, that I really don't have too much of a story here because I don't know the details of like what was actually on the table, what was needing to be negotiated. And it's really the only thing I really had to add to it was my conversation that I had with C. Robert Cargill about it. But otherwise, like already, I think we're into the second week after the strike's been over, and like at least late night talk shows are back to where they should be.
They came back like the Monday after.
Yeah. Which is funny because it was watching them catch up on all the news from like the past like 5 months or so that they haven't been on the air. So there's like 5 months of just pop culture and political jokes to be made. Funny enough, though, no mention from the Tonight Show about anything, any problems there that they had on their set.
Oh,
I know, like,
wonder why.
what was it when Ellen had issues, when people were calling out Ellen DeGeneres in her show, she actually addressed them on her show, but there's been no mentioning or addressing of the issues with the Tonight Show since it's been back yet. So
I wonder why.
Because that's a bigger institution than the Ellen show.
Yeah. So I think this is pretty cool. I mean, obviously, we're excited for all the writers, you know, not only getting what they wanted, but more than what they wanted, which, as you brought up earlier, I definitely feel is a means for the studios to kind of curb any other strike from happening for quite some time. They're hoping that they gave the writers enough to kind of stave off any further strikes from happening for another, 60 plus years. So, or hopefully, at least another 20, given the time difference between our last writer strike, which was like 15 years or so, a little less than that. So.
I can't remember if the strike in 07, 08, if that was just a writer strike or if that was an actor. I want to say, I think it was just a writer strike.
That was just writers.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully we don't have to have another one of those for quite some time. Ideally we never have to have another writer strike ever again, but knowing the way this world works and the way the Hollywood system works, there will probably be another one eventually, just a lot further down the road, hopefully. So until then, though, it's great to see that the writers get everything that they want for the time being and are going to be treated fairly, finally. Now we're also kind of hoping for the same for the actors, which I haven't seen the news lately today, but they were supposed to be back in negotiations again with the studios, with the AMPTP today.
Yeah.
In regards to everything they want. So
I couldn't find any news. The only thing I could see was like the news from yesterday saying that they're meeting again today, but no actual releases of what's happened today.
We may have something by Tagline next week. So stick around. We might have something to talk about for the SAG strike. Hopefully that's going to be wrapping up here pretty soon too, that they can get everything they want as well. Yeah. So that everybody can just get back to it. Granted, of course, we know that the SAG is also striking against the video game industry, which we are not video game fanatics, but that is another big important thing. I don't think they have fully undergone strike yet. They're on like the final negotiations before they do approve a strike for the video games, but hopefully, they don't have to fully dive too long or at all into a strike for the video game industry, because that affects my precious Fortnite, which I like to stream over at twitch.tv/ChrisAdamsMLP, because that means nobody will be voicing any of the characters in that game. And that game does feature a lot of heavy voice acting. So there you go.
Wait, what? I'm not playing this game. I don't remember there's voice acting in Fortnite.
That's because you're not as big of a Fortnite person as someone who's been streaming it on their channel for a while. You don't pay attention to the storyline stuff. You don't do the quests that involve voice acting. So therefore you don't know.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that is potentially a thing coming down the line too, is the actors striking against the video game industry, which will affect a lot of video games too, and their productions and whatnot. So anyway, I'm excited for the writers. I'm happy that that strike is over. At this point has been over for what now? Several weeks. Hopefully that actor strike though wraps up here pretty soon.
Yeah, I know there was news about like what different studios are like fast tracking as soon as everything can get back to normal. I know like Disney was trying to fast track a couple of Marvel projects, primarily Deadpool 3, just try to get that back into production as quick as possible. As soon as the actors are available, like the very next day, everyone's back to set and we're filming this, getting it quickly wrapped up. Because it doesn't sound like they've pushed back Deadpool 3's release date, so they're still on target for was it like March of next year or something like that.
I'm very curious as to how the scheduling and stuff goes, because can they reach out? Can there actually be correspondence between production sets and the actors? Like, all right, plan for as soon as your strike is over to come back to work immediately the next day. Just whenever that strike is over, that's when you guys are coming back to work. So plan for that.
Yeah, because right now, like specifically, we'll use Deadpool 3 as an example. Who knows what Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are currently doing right now? They may be planning like, well, the strike's still going on, so let's just take a trip to Curacao or whatever next week. And then the whole like strike is over. Like, well, we're going back to Canada or whatever it is they're filming. Looks like it's in Canada. It looks cold, is what I'm saying. We're here in Austin, Texas. It looks cold in those studio shots.
Which, granted, in Texas, anything that looks cold is just Oklahoma on up.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like 75 degrees or lower. So
Austin, even sometimes Dallas is cold looking.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious as to how that works too. Like, do they just have to be on call? They're just sitting around catching up on
everybody
TV episodes and
be prepared to go back to work the second the strike is over, which I think you get enough time because, you know, if we're talking about right now them having negotiations again, and we're assuming that they're entering final negotiations to get their situation resolved, then I think most people at this point who work on productions are thinking in their brains, okay, well, probably next week I'm going to be going back to set. So I'm preparing right now for myself to be going back to set next week. Now, if the negotiations fall through again, obviously it's going to take a little bit more time. But as they're kind of looking at, okay, they're negotiating again. All right, so that means if they're negotiating right now, next week I could be going back to set.
Or something as far as like, say, for Hugh Jackman, for example, almost every time we've seen him playing Wolverine in some form, we always see like before they start filming that he's back in the gym, he's getting ripped, he's building that muscle to make sure
having to stay in shape this entire time because who knows when he's going back. He's not a person that he's not a gym rat. He doesn't hang out the gym and just stay in shape like that. When he's not in a movie that doesn't require it, he's going to take some time to himself and enjoy his life and stuff and probably not go to the gym as much as possible. So in this case, he's still having to pump out and that's
maintain.
One of those small side effects of the entire strike that they don't really talk about that often is all the actors who are in high action roles who have to stop right now have to continue keeping up with their workout regimen. So the second they come back, they're ready to go again.
Yeah, like, wow, Wolverine really got flabby in the second half of this movie. I wonder why.
The great thing about the writer strike being over before the actor strike is the second they go back to set, you know, they're immediately writing in some kind of a joke for Deadpool to say to break the fourth wall about all the strikes and everything that happened during filming.
Oh, yeah. There will be some kind of like, man, hopefully this won't take as long unless there's like a strike that just shuts down production or something.
Don't even pretend to think that you're going to try to come up with anything right now that's as funny as something Ryan Reynolds could come up with.
My bad. That's my fault for attempting that. Won't happen again. Although
stick to the news, buddy.
Stay in your lane.
Jeez, you're barely in this lane. Come on, man.
You don't see Ryan Reynolds on YouTube making funny videos. Oh wait,
yeah, you do. They're usually mobile.
Damn it.
Mobile ads though.
Yeah, but those are so good.
Or Aviation Gin.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, strike is over for the writers at least. Hoping that we'll see the strike over for the actors pretty soon. Moving on though, speaking of the actor strike, this one is actually kind of interesting, and I'm actually surprised at the way this is being handled. I don't know if they're handling it this way because they legally have to, or if this is just something they're doing out of respect. But Matt Shakman, the director of the upcoming Fantastic Four movie, has announced that the Fantastic Four have officially been casted. Casting is done, at least for the 4 of them, and they'll announce the cast after the strike is over. So I don't know if that's if there's a thing in there that
there is.
Obviously they were still working on casting before the strike.
You cannot roll over that joke. Hold on. There is a thing in there. He's made of rocks. All right, move on.
Wow. But I don't know if their actors are not allowed to act in a movie, obviously, promote a movie, but are they still allowed to negotiate for movies? So as soon as the strike's over, studios can get back into production. They've already got the actors on board and everyone's ready to start cameras rolling.
I think the hardest thing about that would be a lot of the negotiations, a lot of the contract stuff kind of also boils down to what do the actors get post-strike? What do studios agree to for actors at large post-strike? Because some of that has to be included. Do they negotiate a contract, have the contract set, and then there's just fine print saying pending results of, actor strike, negotiations between SAG and the AMPTP, in which case they would have to renegotiate or rewrite out a whole new contract. That sounds like a mess. So I don't really know if I think maybe they say we're going to agree to writing out a contract. We'll agree to star in and write out a contract post strike. You can announce that we're going to be a part of it, but we're going to be doing all the contract stuff after the strike is over. Which is probably why they would want to hold off on announcing them until after the strike is over.
And also same thing, going back to the actors got to get in shape for the Fantastic Four specifically, depending on what they do exactly with the Thing, if he's going to be more CGI'd, if we do get to see Ben Grimm human form, he's usually, in most cases, he's still usually a big, buff, muscular dude. And are these actors able to, are these negotiations and their agreement to be in the movie, is that solidified enough that during this time they can be hitting the gym to get in shape so they can start? Or is that not officially set in stone yet and they have to wait for the strike to be over to finalize the contract? And then there's going to be that whole 3-4 months of pre-production that they're quickly banging it out in the gym to get in shape.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
They're quickly banging it out. It looked like a shake weight almost. I'm almost doing a shake
weight. Please stop with the hand gestures. What are you doing? You're live on the internet. What's wrong with you? Hey, he's got COVID brain still. Obviously they're not going to, as soon as the strike is done, get to filming Fantastic Four. It's not going to happen immediately. I don't think they start filming Fantastic Four. I want to say Matt Shankman said, was it Shankman or Shackman? My brain is not. Anyway, that guy.
Gal Gadot.
Matty boy. He's. I don't think he said that they were going to start shooting until probably summer next year, or either spring at the earliest, summer at the latest. Which means there's plenty of time for them to get into Fantastic Four shape. Specifically because the Fantastic Four themselves are not all thoroughly ripped.
Yeah, we're not talking about Thor here.
Thing is either in a giant rubber suit like he was for the first Fantastic Four movies, or he's CGI. Actor playing Thing does not have to be incredibly ripped. Human Torch is probably the only one who's going to have to look somewhat, I don't know, in shape, fit, what have you. Because he's the only one character-wise that would be. Reed is not really a super muscular guy, and Susan Storm not really super muscular herself either. They're both very all right, cut. They're cut, they're lean. That's about it. So I don't know on that one when they would start filming, but I'm excited to hear an announcement for casting, because this is one thing that, gosh, we've been talking about for years and years and years, which is what do a new Fantastic Four in the MCU look like? Something that when we first started this channel, we did like a whole video on, like years ago at this point, having ideas on who the Fantastic Four cast could be.
We even filmed it at a local comic book shop.
Yeah. Would be interesting to revisit that idea before the casting comes out, but we can't bet or guarantee when that's going to happen at this point. So we could always do like maybe some YouTube shorts or something, like here's our picks for Fantastic Four cast. That could be a fun YouTube short idea.
Yeah,
we just thought of that right now, live on air for you. There you go.
Yeah, so this channel, nice time to plug that real quick. This channel will be pushing a lot more for shorts. I was working on them before Fantastic Fest. Of course, we've already been doing like the out of the theater immediate reactions. Those are now going to be on YouTube Shorts. We will start posting those on Twitter instead of Twitter trying to redirect you to the YouTube channel. I just want you to watch our video. Whether you watch it on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, I don't care. Just watch our dang video. So we will have those posted up pretty much everywhere you can. And like I said, we are also on TikTok at The Cinefanatic. So if you are on TikTok, make sure you follow there. We will be doing more like rankings and short videos and stuff on TikTok as well. So that's our mid movie news plug. The only other thing I really wanted to talk about real quick, and this should be fairly short, is it was actually announced today that A24 wants to move into making mainstream action, high-budget blockbusters.
What's that quote from The Dark Knight? You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Yeah. A24 has a very distinct
flavor
type of movie, and they are really good at it. Like it is hard pressed. Almost every A24 movie I can think of off the top of my head right now, I've enjoyed in some form or fashion. Not all of them. Like I'm not huge on like Hereditary. I do prefer Midsommar.
Hereditary? Hereditary?
Yeah. And like I'm not, I don't know, this is gonna get me the whole like knives thing that's been on Twitter all over the place. Movie opinion that has you feeling like this.
Well, the movie opinion has you feeling like a character from Tangled.
Yeah. I'm still not necessarily a huge fan of Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is a very good movie. It is a phenomenal movie. I have really some hard issues getting into certain parts of it because it's just it gets a little too heady for my ADHD
you
brain.
Don't like bagels. I get it.
I love bagels. What are you talking about?
You don't like everything bagels.
I love everything bagels. What are you talking
about? Then what the hell is wrong with you?
But
you don't like holes. That's it.
I have a distinct history of enjoying holes. That
anyway,
Shia LaBeouf movie.
That's what I meant. Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, yeah, so A24 making mainstream movies, which, again, they have a very distinct kind of movie, and it's going to be weird that you're going to end up, like, getting essentially a movie trailer that's going to be like, this summer, winner of the Palme d'Or at Cannes. Ryan Reynolds in Transformers, The Rise of the Dark of the Moon of the Knights of the Beasts, coming soon. Like
from A24.
From A24. A24, we promise to stop killing your family members now.
Maybe. You'll just have to watch to find out.
That is true. That is a very distinct thing. Like in almost every A24 movie, someone has a family member dying, and that's like a major catalyst to the movie.
Hey, spoilers for absolutely everything.
All at once.
Everywhere all at once.
I don't remember too many people. I don't know if anyone actually dies in that, but whatever.
I don't remember anyone dying in that. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't. A24. We're gonna do big budget robot hit'ems. big monkey fight robot.
What's a big blockbuster type A24 movie look like? So A24 has done mainstream-esque movies before. I would say that to a degree, Marcel the Show with Shoes On is mainstream because that's coming from something that was popular on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. They've done the Green Knight, I believe, was A24.
I mean, they promoted it mainstream, but Green Knight as a movie very much wasn't a mainstream movie. Lady Bird is something that I would think would be more mainstream because it was a commercial. It was a very commercial coming of age story, I think.
Yeah. They've done a lot of their movies would be movies that are adapted from books. They've done a lot of those. Almost all of them are probably adapted from books.
I would qualify Room as a little bit more mainstream, even though it's a hard watch because of the difficult subject matter. It is more mainstream, especially because Brie Larson won the Academy Award for that role. It's very much something that I think the mainstream audience can get behind and watch. So I think there's mainstream, and I think there's A24 mainstream. And I think what we're talking about here is that A24 is moving beyond A24 mainstream and trying to just jump into actual mainstream.
Yeah, specifically, the reports are saying they want to dive into like action IP. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
There is silver lining here. And the good thing is that A24 was one of those studios that has still been employing writers, actors, everybody, because they didn't fall under the AMPTP. They negotiated and operated under their own selves, which means that the more genres they branch out into, the more different styles of movies they can make, and the more employ they get to do for actors, writers, or anybody whenever strikes like these kinds come up and happen. So there is a positive spin in there. Also, at this point, I'm just intrigued to find out what a A24 action movie looks like.
But the thing is if they're going to branch out to this, they're going to end up putting themselves in a position where they're just another big name studio that's probably going to end up being a formerly a part of like AMPTP.
Not necessarily.
As well. I
actually wouldn't be surprised if at some point post strikes and everything, we start seeing the AMPTP kind of dissolve a little bit and studios just start doing their own negotiations with the unions, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Who knows?
In the meantime, those Stranger Things kids are in their 40s.
Yeah.
Stranger
Things 2023. 2020.
Stranger Things, does the AARP still make payments?
The Stranger Things kids are now the kids. 11 had a child. Their name is 22.
I saw somewhere on social media someone took like all the main Stranger Things kids and put them through that face app to age them up. So it's all of them like as senior citizens. It's great. Absolutely like this is the leaked footage from the 5th season.
I hope that means though that we do get the next Stranger Things by 2025. Hopefully.
Yeah, at this point, if they don't jump on that the second that it's available, actors are back, writing, everything. If they don't jump on it the split second they're allowed to, you might as well just can it.
They've got to. This is a complete side note to everything else we were talking about because we were talking about the A24 stuff. But yes, the second the actor strike ends, which hopefully again within the next week or so, they jump back into it and we get Stranger Things final season by Halloween 2024. But they gotta crank it out.
Yeah. It needs to be, everyone is going to be on set. That kind of like we were just talking about with Fantastic Four, that they're probably not going to start shooting as soon as it's over. They have to start shooting as soon as the strike's over.
Strike's got to end within the next week and a half, 2 weeks. And then filming on Stranger Things 5 has to start by mid-December at latest.
Oof. Yeah, that's pushing it. Anyways, that is going to do it for Tagline tonight. I know there was a lot of like catching up, a lot of yada yadaing, a lot of stuff I was really eager to talk about Fantastic Fest now that it's been like a couple of weeks since Fantastic Fest is over. Kind of missing that window of when the hype and everyone's really still kind of talking about it for people who were in that circle of wanting to hear about Fantastic Fest. I know I'm a little late on that, but this is our YouTube channel, so I don't care. I'm just going to talk about it anyways. But that is going to be it for tonight. So again, there will not be any marquee this coming Friday. That is canceled. I do have my ranking of the 20 movies that I saw at Fantastic Fest. That is available right now on this channel. So go watch that here in a minute and see what you think. Let me know what sounds interesting. What is it that I saw that I'm talking about that you may be interested in? And definitely keep those top 2 movies in there on your radar, because I want to hear everyone's opinions on those, because y'all are going to love them. So, yeah, go check that out. We got Patreon next Wednesday, the 18th, after Tagline will be our Patreon watch along. If you're at the $5 tier, you could join us. We are watching Psycho, the original Psycho, not the remake. So we will be watching that as a part of the Patreon watch along, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. The Wednesday after that, the movie trivia hangout will be on after Tagline, same time, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern, Wednesday the 25th. And yeah, keep an eye out. Make sure you follow us on all the social media places, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the Cinefanatics.
Yeah, real quick on the watch along. Let's reiterate, this will be my first time watching Psycho. So if you want to hang out while I watch the original Psycho for the first time, you're going to want to jump on that Patreon tier at that $5 level and join us next Wednesday. Please. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So continue to follow us. We'll be dropping some more like short videos, rankings and stuff. I want to have more of that start being prevalent on this channel so we can continue to build that audience. We are at 1,944 subscribers last I checked earlier today. So we are closing in on 2,000. Make sure you subscribe and get us to that 2,000 mark. And then let's shoot for the stars after that. So,
and then it's 5K.
Yeah, then we're starting to count down to 5,000. So that should be doable. Anyways, so yeah, again, follow us on all social media things, the Cinefanatics. If you're watching this on a replay, let us know your comments, your thoughts, feelings, and opinions down below while you are down there. Even if you're watching live right now, hit that like button and subscribe. Like I said, help us get to that 2,000. And thank you to everyone who was watching live. We very much appreciate. Hope the show was good for you as it was for us. You can follow me personally at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter and Instagram. Also, youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP. I am working. I've got 2 video ideas that I want to do. One should be a short, and the other one's going to be kind of a fun, a fun video that will be a lot of joy to make and put out for the public to have an opinion of. So make sure you follow over there. That should be fun. And I might do some streaming eventually again as well.
And now that you've all clicked off while my brother was sharing everything about his social media sites, you can follow me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP, where I'm doing things and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing stuff over there too. You should come hang out, blah, blah, blah. I'm sharing things too, blah, blah, blah.
Anything else you wanted to say?
I'm streaming.
Anyways,
come hang out, please.
Thank y'all for watching. We very much appreciate y'all being here. We will see y'all next week. A good night.
Bye.